Houston, Tranquility Base here. The Meeple has landed.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Vitruvian Meeple's production of The Powers That Be, a Claim the Sky campaign. I am Trevor, the Vitruvian Meeple, joined once again by Patrick, Ecat, Matt, Julie, and Ray. We are here for issue 17 of The Powers That Be. This one's called Orange is the Color of Your Energy. I don't know what that means either, but hopefully we're going to find out. A quick content warning before we get started. There will be a jump scare somewhere in this episode. I don't know where. Patrick does, so just be warned. And with that, I will hand things over once again to our GM, Patrick. Patrick, please take us back into the world of Excelsior.
So no 311 fans amongst our ranks. Someone out there is going to totally laugh about that. All right. So we left our illustrious heroes. We have been grinding through let's face it, you did a break-in entry into a old lab building owned by Dynamic Advancements. Have gone through most of the building, through its sub-levels, caused all sorts of problems for the defensive robots, going anywhere from kind of weird fire-pluggy, big roll-around things that tend to drown themselves in pools in New York City, and beat the snot out of that thing. Fought a couple dog robots, fought a couple more dog robots, demolished the floor in an elevator, whilst one of you was getting some batteries to try to run the elevator. But, it all works out in the end.
The direct approach.
And then eventually into the super secret sub basement of this building, wherein there is a large portal device operating. When you encountered the portal device, of course, Gen X was kind of overcome with some sense of nostalgia for the good old days when he used to float around the void, or at least part of him did, and wandered through it and disappeared for a while. Fortunately, one of the villains in the room, Erebus, has the ability to teleport anything, anywhere, and so we brought him back kindly because, I wasn't going to have him out of the game the entire night. From the portal, another villain that you had previously worked with, Matrix, pulled another piece of mysterious glowing orange crystal from the portal device, which shut it down. And after smashing the portal with the tower that is sitting near it, Crash then proceeded to take the mysterious orange glowing crystal from Matrix's hand. The crystal, which she was holding in her heavily armored metal gauntlets, into his own bare or perhaps leather gloved hands. And then the world went orange and stopped. And this is where we leave us today. So, everybody else, you see the damnedest thing. Your friend Crash, after, of course, living up to his name by crashing the antenna into the portal device, thus smashing it pretty good, and then, eventually the lights go out on it. Fortunately, the little girl is not injured by this at all, because she was underneath it at the time. She comes out, holds up a very similar looking, familiar looking, glowing orange object, which crests. Then you hear the breaking of the glass. He blurs by her, picks it out of her hand as though it were taking candy from another 10-year-old girl, and then he stops in mid-run, and he's surrounded by this orange halo as the thing is still clenched within his fist.
Is the halo three-dimensional, as in it's like a like
Yes.
he's cocooned in it?
Yes, he's completely encased in it. It is perhaps growing at a slow rate around him, no less.
Okay,
In size, intensity, or both?
Both. It's so like slowly expanding, and he's kind of fading into the orange as he stands there.
Okay. I'm going to pull out my skateboard. That's the word. And actually beeline for Crash with the intention of trying to take the orange glowing thing out of his hand. Because thanks to Shift, I am impervious to radiation.
Let's say this is going to be the worst game of hot potato ever.
No.
Question. Are we still telepathically linked? Or has that...
Yes, you are. But you can't hear Crash right now.
Okay.
But do we hear anything instead, or is it just like silent?
You hear each other. You hear a lot of, oh shit, coming from your friends.
You hear me going, fuck, 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 fuck.
Yeah. What in the actual fuck is
facepalm emoji, facepalm emoji.
Yeah, that.
While Ice is doing that, I'm going to just nonchalantly slip down this away. And you said these glowing things were reactors or some sort of power source, Patrick?
These thingies over here, yes.
Yes.
I'm wheeling over here.
Can I run a predictive equation on them?
You most certainly can. What do you need to know about them?
Well, can I recognize, one, is it just a huge capacitor or an actual generator of some sort?
It is a theoretical device you have not seen in person. It is an advanced decay reactor. So it keeps itself more or less permanently charged by the decay of some radioactive substance within it.
Okay. So I'm assuming it has, some sort of containment and cooling and
yes, it is similar to the power source that like the Voyager uses.
Okay.
Voyager and Voyager 2 have a hunk of decaying material that charges its batteries and keeps it going all the time. This is
strontium or something?
Yeah. This is based upon something like that on a much larger scale. So it is more or less permanently charging and or generating power. And so you figure, based upon this, that this portal and the lights in this room likely have been on since the building was shuttered.
Okay. How likely does anybody else know what exactly those are?
So, interestingly, while all of this is going on, you happen to notice that a certain young lady who recently had something taken from her hands is making a beeline towards them.
Towards me?
No, towards the reactor.
Okay.
Towards the reactors.
Okay.
So she is slipping over in that direction. She seems to want to do something with them.
All right. I pull out my gun and point it at the reactor directly and say, Missy, I wouldn't do that if I were you.
He looks like, oh, I wouldn't do that if I were you. Just so you know, I am radioactively shielded against fire, bright lights, and other flashes and types of explosions. y'all and your friends, how protected are you?
Good question about your friends.
Well, Hex will probably get vaporized. I'll tell you that. He's just an old guy. Um, Good luck hurting Erebus, and I think Lumiere will be fine. She's been at this a long time.
Okay.
Actually,
You sure
you
wanna-
see now I'm running
Cat,
the risk
9
of
lives. Go for it.
Now, you sure you want to take that gamble? Because, Hex is a entropy sink, as far as I can figure out. Which means, if things are going to go wrong, they're going to really go wrong. Are you shielded from that?
Or maybe let's just go wrong for you.
Again, do you really want to take that chance?
So, Black Ice whizzes by on her skateboard, reaches into the orange light, and oh, you know what? For grins and giggles, let's have you roll a
What am I
speed
rolling?
check. A speed
Okay.
check. Target 4 to see if you can reach in and grab the rock out of his hands because he's kind of holding on to it.
Okay, hold on just a second. All right, so speed check. What target 4 you said?
Yes.
Come on, stupid. There we go. Target 4, and I'm going to put 2 levels of effort into it. Okay.
So you whiz by, and fast as that, you reach over, pluck the stone out of his hands. And all of a sudden, the world turns orange around you and stops.
Am I still aware of myself and the
Yes,
rock?
yes, in fact, you are. In fact, you're starting to continue rolling as you were, except the air is starting to get really foggy all around you. It's hard to see anything. It's not just an orange glow, but it's this foggy orange glow that starts shimmering and shining around you and then starts becoming bigger and bigger hunks of shimmer and shine as the temperature around you plummets to a ridiculous amount.
Oh, gee, I'm cold.
Crash!
Yes.
You're standing there having watched everything just stop around you, and then all of a sudden you're snapped back into regular time. Next to you, just a few feet away, you see your friend Black Ice on her skateboard holding the hunk of rock in her hand. She is stopped. She is surrounded by a aura, and the air around her is freezing so hard. All of the moisture is collected around her, and you think that the oxygen and other stuff is starting to freeze as well.
Okay, so here's what I'd like to do. This is going to be absolutely a power stunt. You tell me what I need to do it. I would like to grab Black Ice, but not the rock, and phase with her.
Okay, excellent. This sounds like a wonderful, wonderful plan.
See, I thought so. What am I doing?
Oh, let's see.
Remember, the phrase
Being
is you
able
can certainly
to-
try.
Being able to grab on to a now seemingly stationary young woman on a skateboard. I would call it like a target 2. So you can roll it for the risk of rolling that 1 if you want, or you can just take it.
Okay, but the question is, can I phase her with me? Basically, I want to
the phasing part.
I want to separate her from the rock by grabbing the portion that is not the rock, leaving the rock there to possibly float or fall. I don't care.
Okay, so
I
what
want
you're
Black
trying
Ice
to
not be
do
there.
is, let's see, your phasing is that a speed skill or an int skill?
Phase is a speed, which is hilarious because the 2 attacks that go along with it are might. But yes, this is phasing is a speed point.
Okay. So to try to do what you want to do, let's step up the difficulty. Now let's see. You're trying to phase another person,
Mhm.
which is one jump, and you're trying to make sure that something on her is not getting phased as well,
Yep.
which is another jump as well.
Okay.
So let's see. Let's call that about a 10. So that's 4 jumps on it.
Difficulty 10.
Yes.
Ooh. Okay.
Can I say, meanwhile, what I'm trying to do inside the?
Sure.
Because what my thought is, well, first of all, again, thanks to Shift and that stupid whatever it is he did that gave me adaptation, I can still breathe in the vacuum of space. So I'm not worried at the moment.
You are strangely enough, you feel fine aside from the fact that right now you can't see anything because
Right.
you're lost in this ice fog.
Right. So what I want to do is use ice creation
Eric.
to encase the little radioactive glowy ball of doom in ice
There you go.
and basically shield the sucker.
Okay. Hold on just a moment then. So the rest of you who are not Black Ice and Crash, you can tell that Crash is about to do something that he thinks may be smart and or risky. You're not entirely sure if it is risky or stupid.
Why choose?
Yeah, both.
And meanwhile, I'm praying that you all figure out that I'm smart enough to have thought of something. Since I'm not the type to go rushing into things, but you know.
Well, necessity is the mother of innovation. So, I mean,
Right
you're a pretty
now,
smart cookie.
I am trying to distract
Psychotic
bubblegum
10-year-old.
crisis here. And,
Softly.
possibly bluff the other villains.
So I have a question.
Yes.
With the radiation, I am within reasonable proximity to what's going on, given my position to the portal and where Crash is barely on the other side of that. Is Eddie responding in any way to the radiation?
To the radiation?
Do I notice anything like whenever Crash grabbed it and the aura started happening from that point, is that interacting with the symbiote at all?
Not even slightly.
Okay.
So the symbiote, whatever is going on with that, the symbiote is not really paying a whole lot of attention to it.
Okay. So it cares more about Erebus than it does.
It cares the fact that Erebus and Lumiere are both here, and they are both of its sort.
Okay. All right, fair.
Okay. So, considering the option, I have come up with a potential plan B. Plan B being, in fact, I have these lovely attacks that are beams, basically. What difficulty would it be for me to target specifically the rock in her hand?
Well, you see, therein lies the problem.
Okay.
The area she is in is now being completely fogged by the orange glow and the fact that all of the atmosphere is freezing to her.
Okay.
So you might be able to get it, but first you have to be careful with the fact that it's going to be a difficult shot. And second, you don't know if you hit it, what's going to happen, because it has now a coating of, water vapor, water ice, oxygen ice, carbon dioxide ice is starting to get on there.
But you see, my attacks ignore armor.
Yes, but it still has to pass.
That's fair.
It still has to hit the rock.
Yep.
So whatever the rock does may very well be affected by that.
Okay.
And I'm assuming you have to see the target to hit it. So,
well, no, I know where I'm assuming I can see where her hand is in the midst of all.
Oh yes, yeah, because she has it she pulled it out, and so it's up in the air as as she's there.
Okay.
So while we're at this, what is Paw doing?
Paw is first of all, Paw is popping that time dilation cipher so that it is all sorts of kicked in.
Did I not put Paw onto this map? I think I don't have a Paw on the map.
No,
The map is Paulus.
Okay, anything here? Boink. Now we
There
have a
she
pop.
is.
Okay, so
There I
you're gonna pop. You're gonna pop your.
I'm gonna pop that
cipher.
the time dilation cipher. The next 24 hours makes a melee attack move at almost instantaneous speed, easing the attacks. So that's what and I've been slowly. I don't have invisibility. I don't have movement speed by cat, so I'm going to slowly skulk around, trying to actually get behind Matrix while Jack is in the process of talking to her, trying to distract her and
Okay. Do you
and
have
basically pull
stealth?
focus.
Do you have stealth as a skill?
No.
How did we
Cat
not give you
doesn't
stealth
have
as a skill?
stealth.
Because apparently I haven't got a
We will have to do that. So stealth is a speed ability, if I recall.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you are trying to move undetected by Matrix. Do you care about anybody else?
I'm focusing on her.
Okay, so that will be a target 5. But you have, well, actually, since you don't have the skill, so yeah, it's just a speed roll target 5.
You have a deck shift though, right?
Yes, I have a dex.
I would assume that would come into play.
Oh, indeed, yes.
Okay.
And is stealth technically a physical action or not?
It's kind of a hybrid, so it is partially a physical action, yes.
Okay, because she's still the designee of the asset, so.
Okay, so it's a
so
target
she
4
sees a
with an asset.
Metal Gear Solid style vision cone coming out of.
Okay, so I've got an 5. I have an asset.
And it's also, because of the shift, I believe it drops the target by 1.
Okay,
So it's a 4 with 1 asset.
we're within it. Okay. And I got it. Yeah, so I'm just slowly, let's see, where actually is she? Yes, basically, I'm trying to kind of keep to the shadows to get to basically move around Jack, around basically up the wall, and kind of get to the other side of the map.
If I can give you an idea, you can't just go over the top of the thing in the middle. You can leap on top of it without any problems.
Oh, yeah.
Jump
Okay.
across it's only about like 15 feet tall.
Yeah, that
There's a big
actually.
fan in the middle, so you
Yeah,
just avoid
yeah,
the
do it.
fan.
Yeah. Basically, yeah,
And
leap
then,
silently
just kind
up
of,
there and kind of wait it out a little bit, and I'm basically trying to, as people's attention is shifting with the conversation between Jack and Matrix, time it so that it's not, so that it would hopefully go unnoticed, that I would end up jumping down kind of on the other side of the the big glowy thing, not the smart one. So that I can be within easy attacking distance. So yeah, apparently it's Monday and words are hard.
So Jack, you see your cat friend hop up on top of the thing, skulk over, leap up into the air, grab some stuff, and plunk behind the reactors. And so far as you can tell, Matrix has not seen her do this.
Excellent.
So,
what is Matrix
this is
doing? Sorry.
Okay, so Lumiere heads over to where Hex is. She moves, by the way, at a surprisingly fast clip, practically the speed of light. Erebus, on the other hand, is still standing there, kind of just watching all of this happen with not much expression going on. And you notice, by the way, part of the ruined portal is kind of sticking through him, but it doesn't seem to be affecting him at all. So what Matrix is doing is Matrix has pulled out a special tool out of her hand and is pulling up the floor tiles from in front of one of the reactors.
And I shoot the tool out of her hand.
No, it is her hand. The
Okay,
things
can I
kind of
shoot
pop
her?
out like flies. You certainly can. Let's see, to specify the target, so that will be a 7.
Okay. Get the right thing. Base difficulty 7. Yeah, I'll toss 2 levels of effort into it. Let's see how this goes.
All right. So you shoot her hand. She drops the panel back onto the floor. She looks up at you, and the damnedest thing happens. Erebus materializes right in front of you.
What are you going to do? Open a spirit Halloween here?
I mean,
I'll let you
it
pick
is an
on
abandoned
someone your
building.
own size.
Okay.
So Crash.
So what would be the difficulty of shooting this thing?
Let's see. It's a pretty small target. I would give it something on the order of how about oh, and you also don't want to accidentally shoot your
Right.
friend's hand
Yep.
off. So
Yeah,
let's call it a 7.
Oh, okay. All right. So 7, shooting from immediate range brings it down to 6. My shift in whichever power I'm using brings it down to a 5. I am going to blow my shift boost CYPHER to duplicate the shift of whatever I'm just going to go ahead and use disrupting touch. So that brings it down to a 4. And then let's see. So let's see what happens if I do this. And it's a 7 eased by 2. Here. Disrupting touch. Sorry to the folks at home. Okay, 7 might practiced assets. So asset 1 because I'm that. It's eased by another one because I'm doing that. And then let's see if I were to do that. Okay. So I'm going to put 3 levels of effort into it, which brings the final difficulty down to a 1. And if it hits, it will do 6 points of damage. And if it doesn't hit, this is why I switched out an ability for rest from chance between sessions. Ba-boom.
Okay. So, first of all, Neva, the world stops being stopped all of a sudden. And you feel this weird lurch as your forward momentum from before returns to you and then immediately stops. Because everything around you is coated in a layer of ice like you have never seen before. Your skateboard is frozen to the floor. You are frozen to the skateboard. You have a pretty thick layer of ice around you, which immediately starts to sublimate and flow off of you in this horrible cloud that, for a moment, makes a pretty decent amount of noise as it's returning the atmosphere to the local area. The mysterious orange rock. Let's see. Let's a little English on this. So first it flies forward down to here and bounces off of this support. Because it's round, of course, it bounces this way, heads over here. Remember, it's 6 points of damage. It is though it had been shot out by a shotgun. So it flies over to about here. And then continues to make its way straight towards Jackdaw and Erebus. The Jackdaw! You hear ting ting, and fortunately, you are remarkably fast when it comes to your brain, because you realize immediately what happened, that the rock had somehow dislodged itself on the other side of the building where all the things are happening, bounced off of the two supports, and is now flying right towards you and Erebus, who is standing right in front of you.
Okay. Can I use my what is it called? The best tool cipher.
Let's see. Where the heck these things go? There we go. Okay. And what tool would you like to use?
Like an Erlenmeyer flask, or something like that. Barring that, I'll just take the mask off and catch the rock with the mask. Whatever is.
I really, really like using the mask in order to catch the rock.
So yeah,
Best game of highlight ever.
Yeah,
exactly. Okay, so let's see. Rock is traveling at a fairly good clip, as though it had been pitched by, a professional baseball player. Fortunately, it has lost some of its momentum after having bounced off of a couple things and left good-sized dents in both of them, by the way. So let's say this is going to be, do you have any athletic skills?
Skills. Okay. Balance and careful movement.
And you also have a deck shift, so I will allow it.
Okay.
So your difficulty to try to catch the mysterious orange glowing stone in your mask is going to be a target 4.
Okay. Like using the balance skill or just straight speed?
Using the balance skill.
Okay.
So, because it's a very careful movement, and okay, sure.
Yeah.
Because basically, you just have to position it in the right angle so it will hit the mask and not puncture through the mask.
Yep. Kind of like, a catcher popping off the helmet to do the. All right. This seems important, so I will burn a couple levels of effort.
Nice.
And the catch is good.
So you catch it in the mask, you put it on an angle so it kind of spins around into the bottom of it. What's your mask made out of?
Thinking carbon fiber and other composites.
What was your mask made of?
So is it a fairly thick and heavy thing, or is it a fairly light and easy to use thing?
Well, it's got night vision filters integrated in it, and it somehow folds.
Okay, well, if it folds, then, because the night vision stuff, it's electronics. You can make tiny electronics if you need to. Okay, so it spins around, lands into the nose of it. It turns out it's not spectacularly large or anything like that.
Yeah.
And it's sitting there in your hand, and all of a sudden, the world goes all Matrix on you.
Okay.
Instead of like, you look up and everything is stopped, and you can see the geometry behind everything in front of you, including, for instance, you see the arrows for the amount of force the floor is pushing up onto Paw, and
Right.
the change of force as she is shrinking, as she's ducking down into a crouch so as not to be seen. But interestingly, the person in front of you, the geometry surrounding him is mayhem. There is something horribly wrong going around Erebus.
Okay.
Wherever the black aura about him is, it's not, the shape of a tentacle. It's something else entirely, spinning wildly off into deepest space from what you've been able to tell.
Okay. Is
And
it like lensing? Like,
it's like a lensing effect, except it's going beyond the conventional 3 dimensions.
okay. I'm guessing I can, in this state, see the higher dimensionality of everything.
Yes, exactly. Like from where you are, you can also, let's see, what else we got there? Oh, you can see your friend Gen X. Gen X has something similar going on. He's not alone. There is something else there with him, and you see it, but it is not 3-dimensional. It is leaning elsewhere into space that you can see now, because
Okay.
that everything is just gone dead. Matrix, but orange. So the rest of you, Paul will see this quite well, as will Gen X. Actually, Paul and Gen X both have a really good angle for seeing what happens. Is that Crash moves forward, does his one attack, shoots the rock clean out of Black Ice's hands. The rock flies out, bounces around a couple times, flies towards Jackdaw, rips off his mask, catches the rock with it amazingly well, doesn't manage to hurt himself, but once again, he's turned orange and he is stopped again.
Okay, no touching the orange glowing rock thing. Got it.
It is the interdimensional pause button.
It
Meanwhile-
is the most interesting game of nth dimensional hot potato.
Yeah, Crash is
Meanwhile-
actually just about to make that sentiment out loud.
I've kind of gone ass over tea kettle because, my everything stopped and I've just kind of done that Alice in Wonderland splat on the ground where my feet are sticking out.
When you splat on the ground, all of the ice surrounding you shatters. So you fall over and you splat with this huge crashing noise. You're fine, fortunately, because, well, you're used to this sort of stuff.
Cursing loudly, though.
Crash
Very
actually looks back
loudly.
over his shoulder and shouts, "Hey, that's my trademark."
Hex starts laughing. This really snide British laugh, no less. Oh, this is just glorious.
Yeah. I mean, he really is just feeding on chaos, so.
You know what? I'm just pissed off enough. I want to throw a shot of ice at Hex just out of...
Just because?
Just because, I am a enraged teenager right now. So I would like to actually do an onslaught of ice towards Hex.
And Hex is a giant arse.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I would love to offer you an intrusion for this opportunity.
You know what? I'm going to accept it because... And I'm going to share it with Jackdaw, because that was a pretty kick-ass catch.
All right. So you turn, and Hex is standing there just right underneath the fallen over antenna, and you shoot him, and it's perfect. You're going to hit him right in the eye socket. But then steps forward, Lumiere holds up her hand, and a frickin' lightsaber appears in it. Just ping! And she deflects the shot, which goes flying off. Then she takes the step in front of him, turns and squares off against you.
Does she really want to throw down with Disney's lawyers, man? That's
Really? The least you could do is make it red because you're a fucking Sith.
It can be any color I want, and it becomes rainbow colored.
Okay, now you're just showing off, glitter girl. So yeah, I square up against her because, I'm an enraged teenager right now who is just pissed off. Because my buddy here took my toy.
All right, Paw, in front of you, having now recovered from getting her hand shot, because fortunately it's heavily armored, Matrix pulls up floor tile again, sets it aside, and leans headfirst into the space underneath.
I am want to dart forth, and I'm assuming that even with her extra power armor and all that crap, that she's still only a 10-year-old girl, and that I have height and arm reach on her, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
And you move way faster than she does.
I am going to spring forward, and I'm going to basically pick her up from behind, basically around the waist, and do that where I to actually trap her arms to try to get them so that they're kind of up, like, I can only do so much, so that yeah.
So you're gonna basically grab her as she's trying to dive into this thing. So you have her upside down.
Yes. Grab her.
Have her in an upside down bear hug. She immediately starts squirming, not unlike a toddler who's being picked up, who does not want to be picked up.
Like, don't make me have to sit on you.
So Jane,
Don't make me turn this secret research facility around.
You're watching. So one of your friends is now caught in the orange glow, which, by the way, looks a lot like kind of like the Matrix going on. It's a whole bunch of weird symbols and stuff starting to form around him. Black Ice has gotten to her feet, takes a shot at Hex. Lumiere blocks the shot, and the two of them are squaring off. You have heard of Lumiere. She's been around a very long time. She beats up on everybody on a fairly regular basis. You think this is probably going to go badly for everybody.
Mm-hmm.
Like, your team might be able to take her on if it's just her, but then also consider there's a whole bunch of other people here that are distracting your team as we speak.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see. Crash is standing there with kind of a surprised look on his face that the thing that he just did worked.
Yeah.
He's like, when he watched, like, whoa, damn, I'm good. But otherwise unencumbered with stuff. So, and Hex, standing in the corner, is still laughing his ass off at this point.
I mean, this is a pretty comic scene. Can't really argue with that.
Mm-hmm. So I want to, I am going to get rid of the window. Thank you. Okay. I am going to close and like be right here up against whatever the heck this round rectangular thing is.
The thing in the very middle? Okay.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, it's the thing in the middle is kind of its own building. It is a metal structure. It has a door on each side and a big fan in the middle that is blowing air upwards.
Okay.
Kind of like a big CPU for the room or something, maybe.
Yeah, right. All right. All right. And I am going to try to goad Lumiere into attacking me instead.
All right. Let's see. Take a look at that skill for a second here. It's under combat abilities, I think. Here it is. Let's see. I'm trying to see if goad is actually rolled and if it takes time to do.
I believe it takes an action, and basically anything that you're doing to another entity that that entity might not want is an attack that requires a roll. According to Ra, you do as you will.
Because we aren't in combat at the moment, so that frees us up a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
So let's role play it. What do you
said
say
freezes. So I kind of, well, actually, I saunter. I saunter with intent, and I call out, "Hey, dimwit, why don't you pick on somebody your own age?"
Hex gets offended.
Actually, she does. Wait, this one's mine.
Hex
Yes,
and
you're filled with
Lumiere
rage.
kind of
We
look at
love
each
you.
other. Hex and Lumiere kind of look at each other a bit, trying to ascertain which one is actually the older of the two of them. And they both seem kind of pissed about this whole thing. They both look at you like, what?
Not feeling so bright now, are you?
So, Paw, as you're
Yes.
standing there, oops, let's see. First, let's put the two of you right together.
Yeah. Yes.
Once again,
Ta-da.
Erebus materializes next to you. And he leans down and says, I have a question for you.
Yes.
What do you think happens to the generators when they don't have any output to go to?
Yeah.
He looks at them, and you notice that the lights on them are getting a little brighter, and they're making a little bit of noise now.
Okay. So through the telepathic link, I'm like, okay, guys, not good. Not good. Outside, deadpan. I am playing dumb for all it's worth. I'm just like, nope, I have no idea at all. And oh my god, the new Zoom interface is pissing me off with all of the extra buttons and crap and adding chat. Yeah. So
But it has an AI companion now.
yeah. So yeah, I'm just playing dumb, and I'm just gonna let him just. Oh, I'm blanking on what the word is.
Monologue?
Yes, I'm going to let him villain monologue to his heart's content and see if we can actually get some information out of him.
So he continues, while you're hearing a whole bunch of shit happening behind you right now, and Jackdaw is still standing there. The mathematical equations around him and symbols are expanding outward, much as the cloud had grown before. It's starting to reach up along things and stuff, and basically anything that Jackdaw and there's paying attention to. So Erebus continues. I would estimate, and I know this because I helped build them, we have approximately 5 minutes before either of them goes critical. And if you don't like the term critical when it comes to anything with radioactive material, There's a reason for that. So if you let her in there, I'll give you a free coffee cup.
And what is she going to do in there?
Disconnect them. So they can be put somewhere where they aren't going to explode.
So, telepathic link, like, okay, somebody who is more scientifically and engineering inclined. Should I?
And of course, the one person who can answer this flawlessly is currently experiencing the world through, a very Pythagorean view. Oh, so Jetta, there's this interesting thing happens as you're standing there. The world is kind of, for the most part, not moving.
Right.
Except you notice then that Erebus, the numbers around him shift, and now he's occupying two spaces for you. He's right in front of you. He is also on the other side of the room.
Interesting.
And as you look up, you see the freakiest fucking thing. The blackness around him, which now that he's in two sides, you see that there's something kind of attached to him, reaching out into the infinite. It looks a lot like a really shimmery black and purple tentacle, just jammed right into his back, pointing back into infinity. You wish you could see far enough to see what it connects to, but you kind of can't, because eventually, your eyesight fails for after a certain distance, and it just becomes a thin line and then disappears.
Right. He's standing in front of the reactors, or that Egan.
He's standing he's standing in front of the reactors. He's also standing in front of you.
What do they look like? I know I can't affect anything right now or communicate.
So what he himself looks like, he looks like a guy
listening. Right back.
In a black trench coat, wearing a black hoodie underneath it, a pair of black cargo pants, a mask, and a hat.
Is he?
So you can very much see that it's just a guy standing there.
Will-sized?
Exactly Will-sized. In fact, you're like, oh yeah, that has to be Will. He is precisely, however many inches and 64ths of an
contours
inch tall and all that, everything. You know this guy. You've seen him before, of course. And the other thing that you're guessing is, basing on how he's talking, you think his mask is altering his voice. That seems to be what the mask does for a living. And you're like, huh, I could
interesting
put a voice modulator in my own mask. That'd be kind of cool. This has to insulate my own voice's sound while projecting the sound. I could do that.
Yeah. And maybe change my accent too on top of it.
So Lumiere and Hex are both now squaring off against Gen X. And Lumiere, with her light sword / rapier or whatnot,
legally distinct
in delightful rainbow colors, then whips out her other hand, and a large glowing whip appears in it.
Yankee.
I was just going to say,
once again,
Kratz takes just a second to look at Lumiere, one eyebrow cocks above the rim of the glasses, and then goes back down.
She winks at you. And once again, this is not a glowing golden one that looks like any sort of intellectual property belonging to, any sort of, other comic companies, especially because it's not, tied into a loop or anything like that. It's just a whip. So, meanwhile, Black Ice, those two are not fucking ignoring you. They're just paying attention to Jean, who's next to you.
These guys with their savior complexes. God damn it. Okay, well, since they're not paying attention to me, I'm once again going to throw little ice shards at Lumiere, since she's not looking at me and paying attention to the old guy next now.
All right, make your attack. Target 10.
Okay.
She's not the hardest to hit person in the room either.
Target 10.
I'll
Do I
give you
get an
a-
asset because she's not looking at me now?
Oh no, she is quite expert at fighting, so she is actually
Right.
paying attention to everything happening in the room.
All right. Well, I am going to then do 2 levels of effort. Hold on just a minute. All right. And there you go.
All right. Fantastic. You actually managed to hit her. But interestingly enough, she kind of rolls her shoulder with the blow, keeps her eye on Gen X still, and then takes a step towards him. Like, well, you have big words. Do you have big actions as well, sir? In a horrible French accent.
Edna mode. Just
No capes.
So is that to me?
Yes.
Okay. Hold on.
just kiss already.
Oh, I'm sorry. We haven't established consent yet, so no. Oh boy, 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 boy. Do. Okay. Um. All right. So I am I am going to um I'm going to look at her straight in the eye and say, act on this. And I take a step forward and I then jump up I basically fly straight up.
Oh, what a time for an intrusion.
What a time indeed. Sure.
And who else will be getting a point from your intrusion?
Pa will be getting a point along with my intrusion.
All right. Both of you fight in the good fight. You step forward. You try to launch up. And in fact, you do. And Lumiere, at the same exact moment, seems to be thinking the same thing. She leaps up. But unfortunately for you, Hex is standing right behind her, and everything goes horribly wrong instantly. You leap up, you're about to get into your typical fight pose as she whips her sword in front of her and readies her whip behind her. And you feel this burning, stinging sensation from your arm. Which arm do you lead with when you are in your pose?
Well, so typically I will have my right arm ready to either throw whatever. So, and then kind of like a balance and of course, comic book hero bravado. I have my left arm out. So especially since I leaped up with my right and I'm kind of like this. So my left arm is forward.
So she brings her sword up into her ready position, and you feel this weird burny pinching sensation in your arm. And before you realize it, your arm clatters to the floor. And you look at the remainder of your arm and see that you have a delightfully and perfectly cauterized wound, keeping, all of your vital fluids inside of your body.
Patrick.
Not good.
I would like to propose a player intrusion that might require rolling that back if you were allowing it.
Okay.
How distracted is Hex by trying to make things go wonky for the two of them?
Not particularly. This is his jam, so he's just influencing the fight, which is what he tends to do.
Okay, but he can do that. So is he distracted enough that I would be able to get a good shot in on him?
You can get a good shot in on him, but basically you would be shooting underneath Lumiere as she takes off Ray's arm. But you can definitely get a shot in on it.
All right, never mind. I was hoping that maybe I could cancel out whatever was going on up there.
Oh no, this is good plot happening.
Oh yeah.
Once again, the guy who has the ability to cancel that out is.
Yeah, that has been actually what I've been trying to get to for a while around everyone else's narration. With a mutter under my breath of, "We need your brain more than we need my speed," I'm going to go and take the rock from Jackdaw.
Okay. So, let's see. You are going to scream over here, scream down here, and take the rock from him.
Yep.
Fortunately, the rock is conveniently sitting inside of Jackdaw's mask.
Okay, so I grab the mask.
Okay. So, Jack, all of a sudden, the world reasserts itself in its normal way. Instead of Erebus in front of you, Crash is in front of you, now glowing orange, holding on to your mask.
Oh, shit. No, put me back.
No!
Meanwhile,
I was so happy there.
So, Pa, as you are standing there wrestling with this squirming young girl, she stops and starts screaming, which is quite impressive because you can hear it through her helmet.
Oh God, please don't tell me she's screaming freaking stranger danger, because I swear to God.
No, your eyes follow where her helmet is pointed, and you see Gen X kind of floating in the air, and one of his arms has come off and is fallen onto the ground.
Shit.
He seems to be kind of in shock about the whole thing. Lumiere, who is also flying right in front of him, has turned off her weapons and go, "Oh shit!" Or actually, hang on a second, merde. So you have to do it correctly. She would revert to French in crisis times.
Okay, I'm kind of shocked by this. I actually do drop Matrix and run to try to close the ground to where underneath where Gen X is, and so that I can actually grab his arm so that maybe we can get the damn thing reattached. That's all I can think is just.
I'm reaching for it too, as my hands are starting to chill. Because, well, gee, I'm going into pre-med. I know you put the thing on ice.
Yes.
Very nice.
Oh, excellent. So, Jack,
okay, huh?
you hear mayhem happening on the other side of that building thingy between you and the rest of the group.
Okay.
And you see Pa drop the little girl in her power armor, so it's kind of a loud clunk as she hits the ground, and beelines behind the building to where the others are. Meanwhile, Crash has frozen in front of you. He's glowing orange.
All right. What is Erebus doing? Or can I not see him?
You can see Erebus perfectly fine. He reaches down, picks up the little girl, and sets her on her feet,
Okay.
and seems to be muttering something to her.
And what is the reactor doing?
The reactor is starting to make noise. Whatever internal capacitors it has are starting to hit their limit and are themselves starting to overheat. So it apparently, from your guess, does not have enough output to compensate for the amount of power it is generating. And it seems like a interesting point with these is whoever designed them, they don't seem to be shutting down gracefully when they have a power imbalance situation.
Remind me to, if I ever see Sawyer, just kick him in the nuts.
So which direction are you heading? Towards the overloading reactors or the, oh crap, something happened and you can't see it? Although you hear a whole lot of, oh shit, going on inside of your head from your friends.
Yeah, but, if we all vaporize, it's game over. So, yeah, I start walking over to the reactor and I'm like, hey, rich boy. Yeah, you.
Erebus looks. Yes.
Yeah, you. Will. Get the kid and the reactors out of here. We can solve this shit later.
She needs to disconnect them. That's what we're doing.
Can I
You
help?
want to? Certainly. The girl kneels down and goes headfirst into the hole in the floor. And then he turns to look at all of the mayhem happening with the arm on the floor, which is now being held by Paw and being chilled by black ice all at the same time.
Well, that's a mess.
So, Gene, your arm falls off. You're just kind of like, what, what, what? Lumiere
Well, so here's what happened.
Shuts off her weapons. As soon as she cuts it off, she's like, whoop.
Well, the problem is that as soon as that sword cauterized the arm and it became and it started to fall, at that moment, Jean goes into a reasonable amount of shock.
That should do.
And Eddie wakes up, seeing, like, experiencing what has happened, regardless what else is going on with Erebus and Lumiere and whatnot. Basically, the symbiote takes momentary control and fires. Now, force was delivered, was it not? In order to cleave the arm from wherever it was.
Strangely enough, the weapon that Lumiere hit you with powered you up, but good.
So I'm going to release energy with energy absorbed. And we'll call it a fraction of a second after the after the clean break.
Yeah. You may be in shock, but Eddie is not.
Correct.
Eddie's just like, oh shit, my host.
Exactly. So he literally, Eddie take the wheel because of the shock. Like, I'm already starting, I am no longer consciously flying, and only like one thing can happen at a time. So I'm in that apex of staying in flight, and this decision is happening right as gravity is starting to pull me back down.
Okay.
So
And
release energy with energy absorbed.
Is Eddie firing it directly at her or everywhere?
It is in that general direction because like that's where my attention was. My attention was forward, and granted, I didn't take a force like direct because it was,
Yeah.
but I come like this, it comes off. So, I mean, there was like a brief recoil because contact was made. So it's just like in basically to the symbiotes, to Eddie's perception, he's looking through the foggy windshield and going, okay, target right there where my eyes are looking.
Okay. So Eddie, a creature who, strangely enough, is a hell of a lot stronger than you are, fires off in an arc in front, sends Lumiere sailing across the room until she, because of the angles and stuff, you're kind of dropping a bit, so you shoot upwards. She fires up and back down, crashes onto the ground. Hex gets shoved off to the side by, fortunately, for him, for a lesser amount of force, but shoves him backwards. He falls back and slides across the floor, followed by a stream of horrible, horrible English curses. You do not even understand the meaning of half of them. It is just this long string of like, this is what he says when his favorite team loses on a bad call type of thing. And then you land onto the ground. Well, Eddie lands onto the ground and gives you, a moment's pause for, oh shit, as you come back to consciousness.
Right.
So Jacked Up, you are underneath this pair of reactors that are starting to make a surprising amount of noise, and the wires are starting to get hot underneath for whatever it's still connected into. And in fact, for the rest of the room, the regular lighting, the bulbs that are along the ceiling and everything else, start one by one exploding. So you hear from above you, pop. Oh, there's one. Pop. There's two. Pop. Oh, the frequency is increasing. This is, they're all gonna go in the next 145 seconds.
Okay. Is it just the wires that
it has a set of cables that connect it to the thing in the middle. It seems to be some sort of power hub going on there that's redistributing everything.
All right.
So,
how big is
Matrix,
this conduit?
the power bundles are pretty big. There's a set of them. So Matrix pulls a wrench out of her belt, hands it to you, points up at them. They need to be disconnected or it can't go anywhere. We need to disconnect the wires and we need to disconnect the mountings on the floor. I will get the mountings, you get the wires.
Okay. Pull out.
Folds her hand like this, grabs one of the bolts, and then it starts turning in a delightfully 360 thing, independent of the rest of her hand, which is kind of freaky, but looking at it, you're like, oh, her armor's bigger than she is.
Right. Bolt cutter's going to help in this situation at all?
It could, but if there's, as you imagine, there's some current at least passing through it, there's a good chance that's going to weld them shut and or, just melt them in the process. You're not quite sure.
Okay. Worth a shot, or
unless you have something better than a metal bolt cutter, because once again, they're also fairly big, that can cleave through it pretty quick.
No. All right. So use the wrench, start
working as fast as you can. Fortunately, you're very good at this and you understand the body mechanics of operating one better than just about anybody. So you're flying through those. All right. Erebus drifts through the air towards Pond Ice. Let's see. Kind of standing between you guys. Looking at the arm like, oh, that's not good at all.
No shit, Sherlock. Meanwhile, in my brain, I'm just muttering, and y'all can hear, have to keep it cold, have to keep it cold, have to keep it cold.
Oh, right. So, okay, just for if I can interject and back up. So, whenever right when Jean's arm got lopped off because of the telepathic link, you hear you hear Jean start to yell whatever expletive that would normally and reasonably be shouted upon that kind of thing happen, but it's cut off halfway and you hear this like staticky electric just kind of this weird otherworldly sound take its place for the duration of shooting off and sending Lumiere across the room, stopping as soon as Jean hits the ground.
The Erebus looks at everybody, looks at you, and starts talking to you. Except you're hearing him talk and you're hearing Nebula, his alien, talk at the same time. And you can't really hear his words because Eddie is listening to him in the other language. So, Pa and Ice.
Sorry, you were completely breaking up there. I did not hear what you said.
Oh. Okay, so did you hear anything about the Erebus talking to him?
Yes. You
Yes.
broke up when you started to
Okay.
say our names.
Okay, so Pa and Ice. Roll
Yes.
a psi defense. So mental defense, target 13.
Intellect defense.
Yes,
And what was the target?
13.
13.
Good luck.
So your target numbers are 39 to start with.
Mm-hmm.
So 13, huh? Okay. Hold on.
Okay, I have no edge for intellect because that's not my thing.
If it's outside of your range, you might just have to take it.
I'm just gonna take it. I don't think there's any way, even if I throw effort in,
Okay,
to be able to.
both of y'all take
I'm-
5 points of damage from your intellect pool if you can. Otherwise, it spills
Well,
into
I was
one of
going to
yours.
roll for it.
Oh, roll for it. Certainly do. Don't roll a 1. Okay. All right. So both of you take 5 points of damage. What you experience as Erebus is talking is the weird things that the other voice is saying kind of explode inside of your head. Everything just kind of like goes white, and that's all you're hearing. So he says it, and it stops, and you do not feel good. So Jean, Nebula starts talking to Eddie,
Okay.
basically saying, "Calm down, get the crystal. You're the only one. We'll fix your arm."
So I am I'm going to say due to the reverberation of Eddie and what that's always been and my shock at not even having thought about cosplaying Luke Skywalker, uh hold on. Got to look at where are we? Boom. Get so he's over there. Okay. You know what? Okay. So, um, I am just conscious enough. The lizard brain is online, frontal cortex, not so much. So, we're going to say that they're going to work together. And I jump diagonally over the CPU to get to where Crash is.
Okay. You fly up and over,
Fly.
boink, and land right in front of it.
Mm-hmm.
So typically is Gene right or left-handed?
Right.
Okay. So you don't try to reach for the crystal with your non-existent arm.
Yeah, I'm not doing. No.
Okay, so he's
So,
holding on to Jackdaw's mask. And you see an orange glow emanating a little bit stronger from inside the mask than from the rest of the orange glow that is currently encompassing Crash.
mm-hmm. So, one's like the Gene's in like a complete sort of autopilot, being driven by more assisting with Eddie's direction. So I just sort of reach in and I grab the crystal out. I don't grab the mask. I straight up grab the crystal.
Okay. So you grab it, take it out, and the orange glow around Crash disappears. Crash, you come to again. Reality reasserts itself. And standing in front of you is your friend Gene, holding the stone in his remaining arm.
The actual fuck. Is he frozen? Is he what's like other than
No,
being
he's not.
Okay.
He is dazed. He's not looking himself, but he grabs it. He's kind of looking at it. And so where do you head next?
So at this point I'm just gonna take a couple of laps around the room just to get the lay of the land again. Because I've been out for
as you're heading by, you see that the reactors are glowing a lot. The lights in the room are starting to go out.
Okay.
And not just go out, they're exploding.
Oh, good, nice. Okay.
Every few seconds, another one somewhere just pops and goes out. So it's starting to, progressively get darker in here. You see that over on the other side of the room, Lumiere is helping Hex get up. He looks like he's been scuffed a bit. She looks like she just got blasted with something. Her hair is just behind her. Kind of like a bad Looney Tune.
Yeah.
Or a good Looney Tune, because they were all good.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Over here, you see Erebus, Paw, and Ice. Paw and Ice are holding on to the arm. Actually, Paw's holding the arm, and Ice is administering her power over the top of it. Paw, one of her eyes is red. She's burst some blood vessels in it. And Ice has developed a nosebleed.
All right. And in the third corner?
So you do not see where Jackdaw and Matrix are.
Okay.
Although
there
there
may
is a
be
hole in the
some
floor.
expletives coming out of this.
And some ratcheting noises.
Shit, 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 shit.
And Jack, you're noticing one problem with this plan. As you are disconnecting the cables from the one reactor, it is starting to heat up and glow heavier faster than the other one. Because you are taking away the only outlets of power it has.
Okay.
I'm assuming I am. We all know this through the link.
Yes.
Okay. So I am going to
New plan.
Let the big shaggy monster win. So I'm going to come over here. I'm going to as gingerly as I can, separate black ice from the arm. Go cool that down.
How much power can Gene absorb?
That's a good question, but unfortunately, he also is kind of in a bit of a state at the moment.
All right. Well, I blink for a second, look at Crash, look over, notice that I'm actually comfortably warm, which means it's really fucking hot in here. And I book over to where he pointed, look down in the hole, and just start. What skill is it? Where's my? Hold on. I'm going to use fire and ice. Hold on a second. Grimmy chill. Fire and ice allows me to create very cold for a short distance. So I will roll for that if the GM wants me to.
Let's see. The question is being able to do it in an effective location, but as soon as you think, okay, where should I do this? Jack hears this in his head.
Right there.
Okay. I look where he's pointed, and I
basically he wants you to get underneath with him because you can, shoot cold straight up through the center of the reactor.
Okay. Well, I jump down to where
So
he
you
is.
see Jack furiously disconnecting cables, and you see Matrix with her hand unscrewing the fairly gigantic mounting bolts that are holding these two things onto the floor.
Okay.
So you kind of get in between them and you start blowing cold air up towards it. So let's make it a target 3 to see if you can effectively cool off a out of control decay reactor.
Well, if it's a target 3, I've got it because I have an edge of 5. Right?
So, yeah, if you had if you have an edge of 5, that basically means 2 levels of effort are free. So
Yeah.
that would bring it down from a 3 to a 1. If you have something else that eases it, that zeroes it out.
So
Yeah,
basically, roll it and don't roll the 1.
Or a 2.
there.
Oof. It's narrow, but it hits.
Oh.
Well, I'm tired,
So the one reactor starts cooling off immediately, which is nice, especially since it's the one that all of its power output is currently being severed by your friend. So things are starting to reach a sensible level. So, Gene, where do you go next? Now that you have the glowing orange stone in your hand.
Well, the what's functioning of my verbal processing and hearing Nebula and Eddie chat is basically crystal arm. So was there anything expressed about what to do with the crystal once we get it? Or is that the initial key to fusing?
Did
All
not
right.
mention what to do with the damn thing.
God damn it. So
although you would size perhaps not handing it to the rest of your teammates might be a good idea. You don't know what'll happen if Paul grabs it, but you certainly know what happens when the other 3 do.
Exactly. So I'm looking. I'm looking at the crystal, and I'm just thinking arm, and I feel a nudge to let's see where, hold on. Gotta look at the map again. I'm gonna jump back over and land right where I want to jump back over and be right there next to Paw. Next to, since she still has my arm.
Yes. Yeah, so
Okay.
your arm is kind of like in this spot right between all of you, being held by the one, worked on by the other. So to make things even more fun,
Oh, great.
Oh yeah, I'm over with them.
Lumiere and Hex start heading over, kind of in between all you guys, kind of looking around with a Lumiere has this air about her that she knows exactly what she's up to, whether or not she does. Hex looks like he's kind of panicking right now.
Oh, it'd be really great right now if somebody could absorb a shit ton of power. Crank it.
So
keep
fine.
it cold,
So,
keep it cold, keep it cold.
with some sense of urgency, but still almost like in that blank stare, I land, look at Paw, and I'm put forward. I'm holding the so I look at the crystal, I look into Paw's, I look right at Paw, and I put the stump right up here. Now, Paw, what you see is whenever you see my eyes, there are no pupils. It is just white. It is not black. It is not the same as whenever I went all at Crash driving him home. Okay. But it is white. Okay. So I put my stump up holding the crystal like this.
Okay, I make sure that the arm is oriented correctly because that's always important. And I know that for a fact that the GM can be a complete and utter dick.
What the hell? Okay, yeah.
So I make sure it's lined up correctly. And
You see, but the thing is, you don't have to, because as soon as you get the arm within proximity, the glow around the rock, so normally whenever you see somebody holding the rock and this orb forms around them,
yeah,
the orb has not formed around me, and a couple of you have noticed that. What happens though, whenever you put the arm up and it gets within about 8 to 10 inches, is that there is an orb that emits around the stump of my arm and the severed portion of there. So it's like a bubble that forms around it, and it pulls my arm from your hands, fuses it together.
Oh,
you see a bright like, so the orange glow intensifies and ends with just like a bit of a flash, also orange. And then as soon as that flash hits, my pupils reappear. I'm holding the stone. I'm looking at it now with full consciousness. As soon as, so Patrick, I'm reassembled. Yay. I'm looking at the orange stone. Is anything different happening to me as a result?
No, the stone is generally speaking not reacting with you. So it is not amplifying you or freezing you or anything that you've heard as a report from the others as they've returned back. You're just holding on to this thing. It doesn't even feel all that spectacular. It's a hunk of crystal. So it's like, imagine, just like you buy like a crystal at some psychic fair or something, and that's basically it.
Okay.
Not extraordinarily heavy, but has a bit of weight to it. It is kind of, it does look as though it had been broken. So it's not like cut like a jewel or anything like that. It's kind of jagged.
It's kind of jagged.
You can easily
All
see
right.
yourself cutting yourself on it.
Sure. So I'll do to hold it carefully. But because I had some portion of my frontal cortex and like have some reasoning and control over myself, is it safe to say that I heard Jackdaw loudly broadcasting over the telepathic link? Can somebody here absorb a lot of energy? Okay.
Yes.
So crystal arm, and I look, and then pretty much as soon as that message sinks through entirely, now that I'm back online, I immediately go to the generator and let's look at Jack and go, where? While I'm holding the crystal.
I point to one of the outlets where the cable was disconnected. Like, start there.
Okay. Let me see. So, where are you? Absorb. Resiliency. Oh, well, crap. Absorb kinetic. All right. Okay. No. Fix my defense. So is this where, and I apologize, I'm still not quite grokking the entirety of dex shifts and power shifts and stuff. But basically, I'm just going to go and try to absorb all of this energy directly. Will resilience help me at all?
Your resilience shift will assist in this.
Yay!
So the damnedest thing happens. You're holding the stone. You reach up with your formerly disconnected arm, already, putting it to good use. Reach up and touch the reactor. So Crash and Paw up on the surface part of the room, you see the craziest thing happen. The portal now smashed. That's up over here. You recall how, at first it had, this nice blue light, then it became kind of an orange light. You see a whole bunch of portals, circles just in the air, all around the room, open up, all at the same time. And they're all like, have kind of this weird hum. And things start trying to move through them.
What kind of things?
Interestingly, you have seen these things before. They're kind of these weird alien squid ant things that made an appearance back when New York City was destroyed.
Nope, not again. So I'm going to start zooming around basically as fast as I can. Anytime that I can get to, or if there's even a good opportunity for me to get 3 of them at once, I do have the target boost, which can up my number of targets by 1. And yeah, I'm playing goalie for the worst Quidditch match ever.
Paul, what are you doing?
Besides, hissing and, feeling frustration, I want to jump away from the portal.
Oh, there's dozens of them, though.
Yeah.
There lies the problem. They're everywhere.
They're everywhere. are they up on top of the
Yes,
building thing?
some of them are just hanging in space. They're not attached to anything.
Okay, I'm going to back up and over here, between Crash and everybody else, try with my back to the building thing in the center, and I'm trying to figure out what, basically where to go and what to do.
So things are starting to try to push themselves through the portals. At this point, by the way, Lumiere kind of like, oh shit. Once again, pops out her weapons and starts flying around trying to cut everything that comes through in half before they, make it all the way through with a fair amount of effectiveness. It looks like she may have been doing this before.
So
She seems to know right where to hit them.
as she is flying back and forth, lopping them in two, and I am zooming back and forth, blasting them as I can. Every time we cross paths, the next word of the utterance, this is why you read the manual first.
And so, Jack, you managed to disconnect the last of the cables from the first reactor. And then it fades a little bit and then disappears.
Okay, that's
And Matrix is like, next one, runs over and starts undoing the bolts on the other reactor.
okay. Not exploding is good.
So when the reactor disappears, the portals all close.
Is this the one that I've been absorbing the energy from?
Yes, you were holding on to it, and then it fades away and then just disappears. And so you're no longer touching it.
Okay.
And you are very charged up right now, by the way. Even though the energy seems to be flowing into you and going mysteriously somewhere, you're not quite sure what's happening.
Do I hear anything, sense anything with Eddie? Specifically in regards to the energy flow.
Eddie is very happy about this. This is like, Eddie's jam, like, oh yeah.
Okay.
You're the Kool-Aid man.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Oh no.
Oh, maybe.
Do you guys move on to the other reactor under here? Once again, furiously trying to disconnect this thing. And it immediately, because it had more time just to kind of sit and stew in its own juices, it is already overheating and spilling out its energy.
So
occasionally you see like an arc of electricity kind of moving along the wires that are still going through it, while Jackdaw is trying to disconnect them.
Yeah.
Hey kid, do you
Yeah.
want to get your friends here to help? Maybe one of them has a lightsaber. It would be plasma sword,
Stops
photon
like
blade.
he
Kind of
stops
useful.
for a second. Hey, Sylvie, could you come down here for a second? And so
I'm so
Lumiere
sorry to disturb you.
flies down through the hole in the floor, looks over at the cables, looks at the bolts. Looks at you. How about you hit the restraining bolts?
Okay.
So you are given a bigger size wrench because the girl has lots of wrenches and shit on her. And so you're starting to work on one of those. And she pulls out, she's kind of Voltron-y, pulls out a nice, like great sword shaped one. And with a swipe, cuts all of the cables off of it. the reactor immediately starts going nuts because it has lost all of its output.
Hey, Ice,
No.
got a trick here from
Okay.
misspent youth. Can you hit the bolts with a lot of cold? And I start tightening the bolt, over tightening it. They're
Yeah.
going to shatter.
Okay. I actually have the ability to shatter shit.
Okay, or do that.
Okay. So
Okay,
People
good
with their
plan. I
suit-
agree. I endorse it.
People with, you get this like image of
nicely hardened, though large steel bolts. So the target on those things for shattering them is going to be a 3. They're pretty brittle to begin with. So you just
Alright.
like poke, and they break apart. And then the next reactor fades a little bit and then disappears. And all the lights go out again. So if you still have your headlamps on, you can use that for seeing. Although, strangely enough, the immediate area for all the people underneath is pretty well lit because Lumiere is there. And she glows like a Patrick Nagel print, which I can guarantee you, by the way, that Gen X has one inside of his apartment.
I thought you were going to say
What?
inside of his jacket.
Didn't get there yet. So as soon as the second reactor disappears, again, looking. So the second reactor poof blinks out of sight. I turn around and face Erebus. Now you said that Jack figured out and like saw with the equations going everywhere and the shadow and the duality and the whole connection with Will. Holding the stone and with my energy level at what it is, do I see Erebus differently?
So the stone doesn't seem to have a whole lot of effect on how you see Erebus, but the fact that Eddie is overcharged, you do. You see Erebus through Eddie's eyes. And from his perspective, Erebus is gigantic, spanning the size of universes, except not inside of any of them, in between them. It kind of occupies the space that doesn't exist between the multiverses.
Okay.
And that thing is plugged into Will.
Okay.
So you kind of see it's like reaching one of its tentacles into him and reaches all the way back. He's kind of controlling Will like a puppet.
Got it. So, okay. So I turn, and now, given this is a new perspective for me, and I'm seeing this. So I go from, I was like actually feeling a little cocky, and then I see it, and that kind of dual zoom pan back view realization. So I size up the situation, but given how jazzed Eddie is right now, there's still a bit of like there's a lot of confidence and just what also words. Anyway, we're not gonna worry about that right now. I'm
Arrogance?
holding the stone, huh?
Arrogance?
Not quite close though. Like sizing up the situation and looking at the cards that I hold versus Universe Boy. But I'm looking at I'm looking at Erebus, right? And Eddie kind of is prompting this. And so I'm not hearing Eddie's speech as English, but more of getting that feeling again. And it's like, so I stand holding the stone, looking right at Erebus. Did you happen to have any plans with this? And you can hear the energy in the voice, like it's kind of shimmering, and there is a faint orange glow around my eyes.
So Erebus looks at you, looks at the rock, says, "Oh, no, that's not why we're here."
Pray tell, share?
He looks over where the reactors were. We've already got them.
So while this is going on, since we're still linked, while Jean is looking at Erebus and the tentacle, Jack's sort of running some math on, like, what happens if we cut this tentacle?
So you
Can
look
we?
at it, and her exact question is what goes to your head. Can you? Whatever that thing is that the tentacle belongs to is pretty freaking huge.
Right. Don't need to kill that thing. Just need to sever the connection.
Hey, Patrick,
Can Jean do that?
can I do that?
What
I
if we
face
all
Crash.
do that?
I face step into whatever the other dimension is that I'm in. Does Erebus look any different to me?
No, interestingly, Erebus looks the same everywhere. Remember, Erebus
So-
also phases. So
That's true. Yeah.
So these multiple thoughts are going through telepathically, and I hear Jack, I hear Trevor, or I hear Crash, and as soon as like that's done, I just think together, same time, on me. And Neva and Pa, you hear this, and sort of like the words, yeah, kind of, but again, such a jazz energy state. Neva, I want you to focus I want you to shoot ice like physically where we're aiming our energy. And Pa, I want you to prepare to basically knock the physical presence of will back to separate the physical connection once we affect the astral connection. And we all do this at the same time. I'm going to release all of my pent-up energy. Jack, do you have anything to fire or focus?
At the tentacle, no. I mean, I could either,
Aim for
aim.
us.
Yeah.
Yes, I can
Aim.
aim for you.
Aim for us. Crash, I want you to assist in the phasing because he can. So disrupt, interfere, take him with. We just want to get this separated.
You got it, Coach.
I know.
Oh, that was perfect.
Where's the rule for assisting each other?
So you can give help If it's something that you are trained or specialized in, you give 2 assets. If you're untrained, you give 1 asset. If you have an inability, it doesn't help. But that's counting towards the 2 assets that you get on a roll. And it basically does Jack have enable others?
Yes, Jack does.
Then
This
he can
would
do all this
probably
without taking his action.
It sounds like it's a power stunt, not to, block us, but it's a little outside of that ability's purview. I'm willing to go for it. Like, that's what I was thinking, but Patrick, you're kind of the ultimate arbiter here.
Yep. I'm trying to figure out the how to put together numbers for this. Let me look at that skill for a second.
It's basically gives one person an asset on physical things. So it would be giving everybody an asset and a general asset. So I don't know if we're looking at difficulty 7 or difficulty 10 by that definition. Yes, I realize I'm making things harder for myself, but
wait. I'm having fun with this.
Of course you are.
Good.
See. 12, 11, 10, 9. Okay. So everybody roll an attack or whichever skill you're using, target 9.
Okay. Do we have any time? Do we have time to prep for this?
No, not really.
Can I get an asset from being like really freaking energized?
Actually, yes, you can all take. Actually, all of you can take 2 assets on this.
Okay.
Excellent.
So my action is phase shifting, or in this case, invisible phasing. The disrupting touch and scratch existence are enablers onto that. So can I, as my action, do the invisible phasing and the attack?
Yes.
Excellent. Then that's what I would do.
The thing you're trying to do is match his phase at that particular instant.
Okay.
That's what's the difficulty of it.
Okay.
Hitting him's not hard. He's just standing there.
Yeah.
Sort of.
So you said base difficulty is 9. And I have 2 assets.
There, I rolled mine. I did a onslaught.
Okay.
I'm adding 2 levels of effort.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, you only set it to difficulty 4, I think.
Okay.
No. Okay, I'll re-roll.
Yeah. Difficulty 9.
Okay. It's okay. So,
Thought I did 9.
oh my God, dude, not right now.
Okay.
Success.
Okay.
Oh, Gen X. Let's see.
Difficulty 9, 2 assets, 2 levels of effort.
Okay.
Nice.
There, even better.
Excellent.
Dude.
This is my invisibility nova. It's what I do.
Booyakasha.
Sorry, I am trying to figure out adding in the like I said, all of my attacks are actually already automatically eased to begin with. I'm not quite sure how that. Yeah, so I'm working on the math. Make sure I have everything freaking clicked that needs to be clicked.
Crash is not doing well.
Yeah, I'm starting to get lightheaded.
That took pretty much almost the last of what he had.
Okay, anybody else need to roll?
Yes, I'm working on
Okay.
it. Okay, I think. Okay.
All right. So you combine your powers together and hit Erebus. And then the funniest thing happens. The whole world disappears.
Did you what now?
The whole world just disappears around you guys. You are in some sort of void.
Void as in nothing there, or like free floating in space?
Kind of free floating in space, except like it's not that you can't breathe, it's that you're not breathing.
Are we
It
all
doesn't
in
feel
this?
warm or cold. You're all around each other. It's very dark, but you have like your headlights on. So as you look around, eventually you're like, oh, the only other things around you are each other.
Do we feel gravity, or are we floating?
You're floating.
What is Eddie doing, experiencing?
Eddie is kind of in a state of, oh shit. I didn't know
Okay.
you could do that.
Oh, that kind of oh shit. Um, as soon as it dawns on us that we're in the void, I inwardly, and I don't know if this would be broadcasted telepathically since it's thought, but I ask Eddie, it's like, who else is here? Like, search out, find something, find somebody.
I know, dude.
After a few minutes of kind of floating around, because you can't like even like swim towards each other or anything, there's just nothing there.
Crash is trying desperately to run, and his legs are just like doing the flaring almost
Exactly.
Scooby-Doo bongo things.
Like you're all standing there kind of in the same positions where you were relative to each other before, but just so a couple of you are within reach, but the void eventually shifts a little bit, coalesces, and Erebus reappears.
Erebus or Will?
Well, Will dressed up as Erebus. Looks around. Well, that was unexpected. I'm going to have to send you somewhere. Thinks for a second. Looks at Jean. Oh, you still have it. Can I borrow that for a minute?
I.
Oh, trust me, you'll want this. It's the most real thing here right now.
What's the vibe I get from Eddie?
Eddie's like, what's he up to? By the way, Eddie doesn't seem to be distressed to be floating in the void.
Well, can't say that comes as a surprise.
You kind of get this feeling of, whoop, yep, back in mom's basement.
Looking around telepathically, I say, any objection?
Several, but also no better ideas.
Kind of.
So,
I'm just watching Erebus see what he's doing.
with in a resigned way, I look at the crystal and just sort of send it off, floating towards him.
He reaches out and never touches it. It keeps approaching and getting slower and slower and slower. And then you see the world start to happen around you again. At first, a couple of flickers of light, then one of the light bulbs above explodes on its own. And then the floor is underneath your feet, and everything starts filling in with itself. Interestingly, Jack, things are kind of happening in the order of like how you saw everything when you were holding the crystal. Everything's starting to reform like that and then become a solid thing again.
No, it's like the draw distance on a computer is popping in, and
Exactly, yes. And then eventually, the only real light aside from your headlamps is the glow of the, mysterious orange stone. And it's still sitting, just kind of hovering right inside of his hand. He's like, well, I guess that'll have to be good enough. He turns, underhands it, and still it not touching him, tosses it back towards you.
So I grab it with my left hand. Thank you very much. I suppose a modicum of gratitude.
Oh, no, 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 no. You showed me something. This is very interesting. I didn't know I could do that.
I don't like the way you said the word interesting.
And Erebus stands up, kind of pops his shoulders back, and his back pops a little bit. Come on, folks. We have some more scheming to do. And then he and his crew disappear. As you're standing there holding the orange stone still in your hand.
Mm-hmm.
And we are back.
Now,
We are back in the dark
And
facility
another
now.
light bulb explodes.
We are back in the dark facility now.
Yes.
is it still overloading?
No. It's just some of the bulbs are overheated, and so they're still going.
The ballast is blowing on them.
Yeah. They're not even like lit, but some of them glow a little bit because they're just overheated.
Okay, there's got to be a coffee cup down here someplace to put that damn rock into.
All right. Who the hell has my
I look
mask?
at Pa and go, I look at Pa and say, I'm fine.
The last person to have your mask was Crash.
I probably dropped it where I had been frozen when I went to check out the room and then go tell Ice to go cool down the reactor. So it's probably still on the floor.
Over by LC08.
Yep.
I'm guessing.
Yep. Right about here, as I recall.
Yep. And there it sits. Kind of mushed up a little bit, but it regains its shape properly. That's how you designed it.
Yeah. Just give it a flick and it.
Looking at the stone, is the stone looking or behaving any differently than when it was first discovered?
Absolutely not. Strangely enough, it's the same stone with the same eerie orange glow to it. It hasn't changed in shape, character, color, or intensity.
Okay, now.
Look at it, and it's like, well, seems like this is a bit more than just a souvenir from a junkyard.
You think?
I do now.
No, this one's a souvenir from a secret laboratory. The other one is a junkyard one.
You know, I didn't
So-
like that guy to begin with.
I'm not
You know-
too fond either.
Gene, we got to talk to you about the quality of your friends, really.
My friends.
Yeah.
My
Will is your friend, right? Or was?
oh fine. I thought you were talking about Lumiere.
Frankly, I thought he was talking about the rest of us.
Well, I was that too, kind of, but you know, that goes without saying, really.
So, hey Jack,
Yes.
can you design a containment unit for one of these things?
I can certainly do the math. Let me talk with Tink about the practical aspects, but I think between the two of us, we can put something together.
I look across at the rest of the team. Anybody else got any injuries they need to report?
Crash.
I reach
Go ahead.
go I
ahead.
reach into my backpack, pull out 6 more Milky Way bars.
Excellent. That will work in lieu of the cup of coffee and the nap that I need. I'll have to. Yeah.
I
But
forget.
I then pull them back as you're reaching, going, but no one says a word to my parents.
I didn't realize that option was on
Yeah.
the table.
No argument for me.
Just
No.
saying.
I
Um,
mean, and if this shows up on the news, we got bigger problems. So I think we're okay.
I forget what is the mechanic of the Milky Way bar? Is it just like a recovery roll, or
It's up to the GM.
No, it's just a Milky Way bar.
oh,
Y'all
Yes.
are hungry.
okay?
You've had a lot of fights. You have run around trying to push out an alien invasion that was going on around you.
Then
There's just a lot going on.
Is it basically just enough of a sugar buzz to get us the hell out of this building?
Yeah.
And
so
we
Yeah,
don't
garbage.
forget my brain when we leave, okay?
Yeah.
oh yeah.
So you guys ferry yourselves up the elevator shaft through the broken elevator bottom and up to the next floor, and you pick up the jar with your brain in it. And you make your way upstairs and, past the now batteryless shrapnel of the first security robot, back outside, only to see the sun just starting to peek up on the horizon.
No, fuck.
I was like, oh hell no.
What time does Sunbucks open?
By
It
the
opens at
time
plot o'clock, fortunately.
By the time we put this back in and home base, it'll be open.
So, Crash, are you going to ride in the Humvee for the trip back?
So at this point, we're all kind of standing outside, and Jack is doing this. Crash is like half crumpled down, leaning against a wall. You have never seen him so vulnerable, frankly. He looks utterly defeated, utterly deflated. And he looks up and he just says, "Yeah, I'm gonna need a ride." And he just kind of slumps down to the ground.
Okay.
I walk over to Crash. So holding the stone in my left hand, I extend my right hand to help him up. Do you accept my hand?
Yep. He takes a second, and his eyes flicker back between the stone and the hand, and the stone and the hand, and then they meet your eyes. And what do I see in your eyes?
Because I'm still holding the stone, but not like uber wall wall wall. There is just a faint it's reduced to a barely perceptible aura, which isn't visible but pings orange. It's like everything is muted, almost like if it was a lightness darkness level, it would be at 1.
Okay.
Okay, so you don't like,
Exists.
so you don't look like a glowing Oompa Loompa.
Yeah.
Correct. Yes.
Okay.
Then I say so. Again, I'm back and forth between your hand and the stone, your hand and the stone. And I look in your eyes, and I nod, and I reach out my hand.
I grab his hand and bring it down. Bring it way down.
If it wasn't so late, that is exactly what I would do. But
no, but you do feel so. It is approximately half the level if you've touched your tongue to a battery.
Okay.
It is that but it is an infusion it is an excitement of electricity, of energy that should get you basically like a huge shot of espresso, just enough to get us to where we can crash at our bunks or get us to Sunbucks, whatever comes first.
Sunbucks is sounding so good right now.
Mm-hmm.
So you all pile into the Humvee and head north, driving through the streets. And of course, it's very early in the morning still, but it's New York City. So a whole bunch of people are getting to work. So traffic's already brewing up.
Or at least it was.
You're getting really sick of the rest of humanity pretty quickly. But fortunately, you're not too far away. So you make it back, pull into the garage. You have the stone still. What are you going to put it in while you go off to Sunbucks?
I look at the stones. You deserve way more than a coffee mug. And given the construction, like there are some containment units, like lockers, basically. And there's a little row of those with reinforced reinforced materials, so specifically for things that emit energy that need to not affect what's around it. So I go and I put it one, and they all have windows so you can see what's in it. So I reach up, I put it in the one unit and in the corner, and I close it. And there's a it's all been like the only way you can open it, it's one of the ways is fingerprint activated. It's all been set to our prints, any one of us, but it's got to be our prints. So I just put the thumb there, and it does a little boodly beep, and so it's locked. And I step back, and I'm looking at it, and so hoping that it's not doing anything unsuspecting or untowards, Mr. Plotmaster.
You're staring at it. You think it's okay. You look at the other one, and it's still in its coffee cup inside of one of these lockers.
Yeah. And I
They're
had the
both
brief
kind of-
thought, it's like, maybe I'll put both of those together. No, not gonna. No. Well, you stay separated. And I make a big like.
So as you're doing this, you hear the distinctive pull of masking tape off of a roll,
Mm-hmm.
and then and Crash comes past you and slaps on the window. Do not lick.
Now, because I have relinquished the stone, that's been giving me energy. I crumple to the floor.
All of a sudden, your arm hurts like nothing you've ever felt before.
Mm-hmm. Oh, and interestingly
it's still attached, but
it's attached. I look at it, and there is an orange residual glow around the reattachment point.
So you head off to get some coffee.
No, I look at Neva and I'm clutching my arm, and it's like, and I'm sitting on the floor, just I'm trying to contain, just like, please.
I just walk over and lightly touch his arm and just emit cool like an ice pack around
Oh,
where it is. It's like no expenditure of energy because this is me.
Yep.
It's just my body temperature.
Yep.
And now in my regular voice, it's like so I'm like I slump down and I'm looking off the Jesus Christ. Advil, anybody, please, Advil. Motrin, I really don't care right now. Who's got some? Pa, tell me you have something on you.
Yes.
Okay.
And I had some nice, Tylenol and codeine because bouncer.
Oh, good. That's what he needs. Yeah.
Yeah. It's one of those.
So-
I dropped 2 in, and the water bottle just swallow.
So
I'm going to
With
assume,
a,
Patrick, that in this amount of time, I have been able to take my 10-minute recovery. Excellent. Feeling much better.
So having felt better from that, I go over to one of the cabinets where we do have some like medical equipment and grab it's like a compression sleeve, but it's made of a gel that can either be heated or cooled. And so I put that on my arm, and it's like, can you give me like a good 4-hour dose on this, please, Neva? So she does that, and it's
Yep.
like, okay, now then, coffee.
So are you all going to walk over, or are you driving over the, block and a half?
Get in the car. We just get in the car. Just get in. Just get in.
It will
Dude.
actually take us longer to drive there and find a parking space,
yes.
even with navigating.
If you find a legal parking space, I mean, you can just stop in the road, or you can just park on the sidewalk. I mean, or bump a car out of the way. I mean, it is a full-size Humvee.
I think the nearest legal parking space may actually be in the basement of our headquarters where it already is.
Yeah, let's
Fair.
just walk.
Okay, so you drag yourselves down the block and turn the corner, and there you see the sunbox, and the person is just unlocking the door as you get there. And you stagger in, you can smell the fresh pastries that they've just put out, and the coffee machine is firing up for its first shot of the day. And behind the counter, you see by your, I mean, Jean's favorite redheaded barista looks at you guys, say, oh, what happened to you guys? You look terrible.
Thanks, and good morning to you too.
I just say, all-nighter study session.
All of our
Those
usuals
librarians,
double
am I right?
figures.
Oh, jeez.
So as you come up, he has already finished Jean's drink and hands it to him. Here you go.
Lingers for just a second.
Oh, Gene, you should probably immobilize that arm, pull out a roll of duct tape.
So you guys get your pastries and your coffee, and you sit in your usual corner, just letting the caffeine settle in.
Like the Avengers having shawarma after the first movie.
Yes.
Your coffee mugs are sitting on the table, and then you see a bunch of ripples form inside of all of them.
Oh,
I look at them as like, not
Oh
now.
come on.
And then the ripples start happening kind of regularly. You notice that the ground kind of shudders a little bit. And you start hearing a whole bunch of noise from going on outside.
yeah.
How about we let
Begrudgingly,
USA deal with this, or whatever the fuck his name is?
And soon you realize you can tell what that noise is. It's calliope music.
Oh God!
I
And
thought
then
we took care of that Joker.
Around the corner and turning down your street, just past your questionably parked Humvee, you see first a bunch of horse-drawn wagons. And the horses have fantastic headgear on with all sorts of plumage. The wagons are painted all sorts of crazily, and they all say King's Circus. And the wagons roll by, like, what the? And then a parade of elephants follows next. There has to be at least a dozen of these things.
Y'all are seeing this, right? I'm
And
not just
Yeah.
hallucinating from
oh, hang on a second. Here.
orb exposure or whatever.
It's a shared hallucination. We're still slightly telepathically linked. It's gonna be.
I know, right? Here, where is the? Oh, apparently having issues moving people today. Oh, there it is.
Oh dear God.
Oh no.
Oh boy.
Let's all put you in your usual spot. So you're all hanging out there, and then as the elephants come by, you see on the lead one, there's a man standing upon the lead elephant on its head like he owns the entire city.
You know what? He can have it. I'm just done.
And Gene, he's looking around, shouting all sorts of wonderful things about come and see the show and everything. And then he looks right at you. And you hear Eddie say, "Oh no." And we'll see you all in 2 weeks.
God damn it.
So the Circus King returns to be dealt with next time. Well, I hope you all enjoyed that, especially that little surprise at the end. That was issue 17 of The Powers That Be. Again, this one was called Orange is the Color of Your Energy, which is apparently a reference that I am too old to get. But that's okay, because we still like it here. Okay, so we are going to get out of here, take a quick break, do our after show. If you guys like what we do here, feel free to like, subscribe, follow along. Talk in the comments. You know, what do you guys think is going on? What's going to come up next? But that being said, we will see you in 2 weeks. And for Patrick, ECAT, Matt, Julie, and Ray, I am Trevor, the Vitruvian Meeple. Tagline pending. Night, everybody.